Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into another YouTube video. Today I kind of want to talk a little bit about kind of what's been going on in the market in general, and then also some questions that I've had about new construction. So a lot of people are asking the question of, can I use a real estate agent when I go to build? And the answer is yes. But before we get to that, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the fact that yesterday, if you're in Indiana, we had snow in April after Easter. Yeah, I think it's magical, so I didn't really care. But a lot of people were not too thrilled. We had to cover up some plants. I covered up my peonies because I would like for them to bloom. But yeah, the snow was pretty, and literally by the afternoon it was sunny and it totally melted off the roads. It was still on some of the trees and stuff, but it was pretty. Another thing that we have noticed in the last like couple of weeks, sales prices are still going higher. So that is still telling us that it's absolutely a seller's market. I've had a couple people ask me, from the seller side, if we sell our house, well, aren't we jumping into the market when the prices are at the most high? So technically, yes, you are, because it's a seller's market, right? And as a buyer, you're not going to be able to go in and underbid on a home. However, if you look at the housing market, just in general, overall, the trajectory is still going up. So sales prices, we're not seeing drop. We're not seeing them, get stagnant. We're not seeing people, maybe buyers get timid and not want to buy. So yes, you might be buying, obviously at a more expensive price point, but it really is only going up. And for all intents and purposes, from everything I'm reading, or with everything that our brokerage is saying, and people who've been in this industry for a long time are saying that they just don't see the market crashing. We're not in a bubble. It's not, next week there's not going to be some big, huge, 2008 crash. Obviously, nobody can predict the future, but it's safe to say, I think, that the prices are steadily increasing, and so that's good. It also means that homes are appreciating. So I actually have a couple buyers right now who are under contract, and appraisals have come back. And in the 2 weeks that they've been on the market, they're seeing sometimes, one in particular, they had an appraisal come in at $10,000 more than what our purchase price is. So that's fantastic because you've already gotten equity. So there's that. So I did want to get to the whole question of just in new construction, are you able to use a real estate agent? Well, the first thing is yes. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to meet with an agent who's familiar with the area that you're looking in and who's possibly maybe even has some builder connections. It's just a good idea because the builder obviously has someone who represents them, right? Themselves, or they have like a director of new building, they have a director of buyers, stuff like that. So you just want to make sure that you're being represented fairly in any transaction, any sort of a real estate transaction. You want to be represented. So when it comes to new construction, yes, what you'll want to do, like I said, is the first step is to meet with a realtor who's knowledgeable, who can kind of walk you through the whole new build process. The second thing would be, again, and always, that right there, your budget. You have to figure out what's best. Sometimes the builder has a lender that they're working with, and that lender can give you a fantastic deal because they're working with the builder. Maybe not necessarily on interest rates. Sometimes just depends on, obviously what the situation is that they have worked out with. But your real estate agent can also hook you up with a really great lender as well. The third would be to find a builder that fits into your budget. As you can imagine, like with anything, you can find a really affordable and maybe faster builder, or you can get a very, expensive, more, I don't want to say elite, but just a more custom builder who is obviously going to be a little bit more expensive. So that would be the next thing. And then step forward that I would suggest would be to go start looking at model homes. It's nice to be able to go to kind of maybe a newer subdivision and see, they'll usually have the lots lined out, and they'll show you like this lot, this lot, this lot. It's hard to visualize, I think, sometimes like a huge house on a lot. I remember going back to when we actually built our first home, and thankfully my father-in-law was in construction for a very long time and sort of talked me off the ledge, because when we went to our new build, they poured the foundation and it looked tiny. So it just was nice to have somebody with me who was, could calm my fears of, did they mismeasure? No, they didn't mismeasure. It just looks a whole lot different, obviously when it's up and built than when you're just looking at like a slab, a foundation, or out here in our case, when they're excavating to dig out for a basement. It looks so much different. So, but tour a model home, get familiar with the style, get familiar with the different elevations, get familiar with, are you looking at a builder who doesn't do any, they do no brickwork whatsoever? You might not want that. Usually they have a lot of options, so it's just a really good idea to look at, obviously where you're at, what fits your budget, and then look at the model homes. The next thing will be find the lot, or in some cases the neighborhood, because there's obviously a lot of developers. Drees is a huge one here, out here in Indy. Lennar is here, D.R. Horton, and then you have some of your, for the Zionsville area, you have some other specific builders, MI Homes. I know Kent Schaefer does a lot in like Holiday Farms, and a couple other subdivisions. So it's just nice to kind of get an idea of, different areas. Switching the page to cut this out. Okay. So why it's so important to have a real estate agent representing you when you are building. Basically, in a nutshell, they're representing you and they're taking care of every single detail. So we're looking over, obviously, we're going to work on your behalf in all the parts that are moving in new construction. And what that means is you're going to want everything in writing. As an agent, you make sure that I have, amendments, or I have contractual changes, stuff like that. Having an agent who is knowledgeable in contracts that we deal with on a daily basis is just so good to have basically in your back pocket, right? And you're still going to want a real estate agent to help you through that whole transaction, who has your best interest in mind and not the builder's best interest, right? Because that's why you hire a real estate agent, is to make sure that you have as much representation as possible. So that's kind of it. That's what I have. I'd love to chat with you if you're in the Indy area and you're thinking, well, maybe I don't want to sell my house quite yet, but I'd love to build. Or if you just have questions in general, you want to know what your home equity is, I can help you with that. So thanks for tuning in, and see you soon.